This is the Owens Recovery Science Podcast, hosted by physical therapist Johnny Owens.
All right, well, welcome back to the Owens Recovery Science Podcast. This is not Johnny Owens. This is Kyle. Johnny's the guest today, along with a PT you may have heard of, Stephania Bell. We've got Stephania and Johnny on here today to talk a bit about Project 11 that's coming out Friday night. So you guys will be catching this later on today. It's Thursday. It's going to come out about 6 p.m. Pacific time, and you'll have time to listen to it and kind of get some backstory before you even see Project 11 if you so choose to do so. Stephania, Johnny, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for
it's nice to be on the Owens Recovery Science Podcast, man. Thanks for having me.
Nice?
I've heard great things about it.
I've got your bio here, Johnny. I was gonna just read through it and
well, I only have so much time. I can't be waiting for his bio to get read. I mean, it's so long.
We don't have enough time for Johnny's bio. So Stephania, thanks so much for being here with us today, and we're really excited to just kind of hear more kind of the backside of the story and everything. But if you would, maybe for some of our listeners that might not know, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I work for ESPN. I'm a physical therapist. Somebody asked me today for purposes related to PR and stuff around this piece, how long I've been a physical therapist. And I said 29 years. And then I was really regretted that I let that out. It sounds so old. It is not sounds, it is. But so I was in clinical practice for nearly 20 years before I transitioned over to the media full time. And now I do fantasy football stuff. I mean, I do medical content for ESPN. And that varies from fantasy football stuff to, but leading into the draft, Tua Tagovailoa, who had the hip injury that everybody was talking about. And I was sort of there to translate that information. And then one of my favorite things that I've done at ESPN is work on feature stories. And obviously we're here because we're talking about this project for E60. It's my first time working on an E60 piece. And really excited because it's essentially a film. It's going to be 1 hour special. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it right now. But it's Friday night, May 1st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That will be the debut. It's going to have several re-air opportunities, including Sunday night after the Jordan doc on ESPN2. But hopefully you'll catch it on the debut. Really proud of it. Couldn't have done it without the help of Johnny Owens, who's here on this podcast.
Who's our other guest today, Johnny Owens.
But because traveling to San Antonio was a big part of the story that we tell, and Johnny certainly helped with all that. And Alex Smith, who's the subject of this piece, certainly is intimately familiar with the things you do at Owens Recovery Science after his path down.
Yeah, he was doing a little bit of BFR, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he crushed pretty much.
Yeah.
He's competitive, so everything was he had to do it better and harder.
I know they were doing it right, because at the end of that one clip they aired with Seth Blee, Seth was like, wasn't that bad today? And he was like, no, it sucked. I'm like, okay, they're doing this right.
Right.
Definitely.
The PTs all picked that up. Yeah.
Yeah. We those little subtleties we pay attention to. Well, it's been fun just kind of seeing the clips come out and everything. And I think the one that has really sort of caught everybody's attention is when Alex is throwing the football the first time and that sort of thing. It really seemed to kind of mean a lot to him, but also to his wife. I for one, I was actually watching you when you were asking her the questions, and I was like, that's a PT. That's somebody that talks to people, because there was this genuineness that kind of came off when you were asking those questions. And so I was curious, like, what was that all about? I mean, like, what was that experience like? It seemed to really kind of mean something to everybody that was there. So.
Oh, when he was throwing the football?
Yeah, when he threw the football.
That was a turning point in his recovery, without a doubt. And he'll talk about it. His wife will talk about it. And Dr. West will talk about it, because she actually said to me after they left San Antonio, that was the first time that Alex asked her about the possibility of returning to football. So, and now I'm gonna just throw everything askew here because I'm gonna direct this next thing at Johnny. So I'm gonna force you to answer a question. But I have to say, a lot of people have been struck by that moment. It was one of those things. I've done some of these features now, and it's kind of like, when you have a moment, you just know, you think, oh, that's definitely going to be something that ends up making the piece, because you just feel it in that moment. And the fact that we all felt it, and Johnny was there. I mean, you saw Alex light up, and even the way, what I saw in the moment, it was just, what's the word? It's like enhanced by the different camera angles that our camera crew got, because the look on his face was just something special. And I've had people ask me, I mean, it's such a great moment, and we happened to be there, but I won't name names, but I had a reporter ask me, and he sounded skeptical, like, oh, really? Like, there's just a football lying around. Like, whose idea was it? How do you, like, as if it were a setup shot. And I was like, it wasn't. It wasn't. But the question I couldn't answer, because I'm not in Johnny's head, so I'm going to ask you right now, was, did you plan to have a football there that day? Was there, or was, obviously, when all of the patients who are there recovering servicemen and women, they're all athletes too. So it's not like it's unusual. And certainly in PT, we know a way to motivate patients to get better is to get a ball in their hand, or, give them something they're comfortable with, that they're accustomed to using, and it works on multiple levels. But tell us about the football moment, Johnny.
Yeah. So we, if you're at the Center for the Intrepid, it's a round building, but we have this kind of long runway. So we would always the staff or with patients, throw baseballs or throw footballs back and forth across it. So that stuff was always there. And I, here's what happened that day. It was a day basically when he first came down to the Center for the Intrepid. And, I think some of it probably didn't make it into the movie, but we sat in this room and just talked with Alex for a long time with all these people. And there was some real.
Oh, don't be too quick to decide what made it and didn't make it.
Okay. I don't know. Stephania's like, I talked to all these people who are like, oh, you haven't seen it yet? And I'm like, no, I think I'm the only person that's Stephania's friend that hasn't seen it.
That's not true. That's not true. Alex and Elizabeth haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Really?
Robin West hasn't seen it. No, it's been the only people who saw it, full disclosure, the only people who've seen it are the people who worked on it and our management team. And they sent out a screener to some of the journalists for the national outlets who were going to be doing interviews with us in advance of the piece so that they could ask about it. That's it.
So we, and that's funny too, because the Washington Post guy today, when he did the interview, who Stephania directed my way, he's like, well, I'm sure you've seen the piece. I'm like, no, I actually haven't. But anyways, I'm glad you've seen it. But,
he's like, oh, you're the only one.
Yeah. We've all seen it. It's on YouTube. And so.
No, don't say that.
But that whole meeting so there was a lot of questions about his healing at that point, and so we come at things from a different angle with the military. We're very used to his kind of injury in the frames, and the real questions like, okay, why aren't we weight bearing? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And I don't want to go too deep into it, but there was a little bit of a fracture in an area that we were concerned with. And so Alex hadn't really put load into the bone to the point that we thought he should, because there was something going on in the joint. And that makes everyone a little bit more nervous with these type of injuries. And so the next phase was like, okay, we got through all of that and lots of going back and forth x-rays. Okay, now let's go down into the clinic. Let's do the evaluation. And even when you see the piece where he's doing this side plank, that, part of that is yes, we need to see if you're going to wear a device that's going to be real rigid, you have to be strong enough that, when you hit the ground, you don't have this little bit of sagittal plane movement. But also you're really we're trying to load the bone in 360 degrees. So you load it laterally, you load it on the anterior side, the medial side, because part of the bone's going to heal slow. And there was a part of his bone that was really healing really slow. So then it was like, and that's where the F-bomb was dropped, I think, in that clip, where he's
congratulations, you got
I NC 17 it, but
and
then
it
was
was
like
Halle
all
Berry
right.
the next day with the F-bomb on TV. That one.
So what we wanted to do was like, okay, Alex, we got a quick amount of time here with you. Our goal is to show you, start trusting this frame, start trusting the biology in your bone. And we have to do everything we can right now to start pushing that biology and start making it heal. And if the infection isn't there, then that biology will be good and we'll start to see healing. Even if it shows non-union in certain areas, if it's like the bone is healthy, we know over time we're going to get it there. So that was the first goal. It's funny, we all met with him. He and his wife went out. We all ran away as a little group and are like, okay, go load the bone, go load the bone, go load the bone. And I said, I think we need to throw this guy a bone too, to give him something to kind of motivate him, like show him he can put weight through that leg and be a little bit of what he did. So I told one of my techs, grab a football, man, and we're going to start and just see how he does, like in a weight bearing position. And if he's okay and he's not freaking out, then let's move to, I want him to at least start to feel like an athlete again. And that was that moment. And it was so crazy because everything I saw in that video, I didn't see because I'm like working with him.
Right, because you're in the middle of it.
And he did it. And I'm like, I gave him the ball. I'm like, you can throw it, dude, or something like that. And it was so unscripted. And, it was like, we finally got him in a way and he was like moving with the ball. And I'm like, well, you can throw it. And he threw it and like freaking hit me in like my solar plexus. And like, it literally like hit me. I missed it. I almost like lost my air. And I saw nothing what everyone else saw.
Was there a camera?
I don't remember, Stephania.
You're trying to still look cool when Alex Smith just delivered you a football. He's in a half kneeling position. He still nearly knocked you out.
He can barely, but I don't know if you remember, I said, okay, now throw it to my tech. So he started throwing to my I walked over. But yeah, it was real important. So we wanted to get away with a couple things that he trusted that he was healing and he could go home because we weren't going to see him again for a little while. He could go home and feel comfortable working with Seth and knowing that, this is something I need to push. And that also I need to start thinking about being a football player again. Because at that point, everything we were looking at was like, okay, I think your limitations are way higher than what everyone might be kind of thinking right now.
Well, understandably though, and I mean, this is really the reason for the consultation, and the folks who were working with him aren't working with those patients before. And it's a combination of the extent of the injury, but also he's a professional athlete. So most people are just trying to get back to basic function, but you're thinking about a whole new level of function. And with the type of patients these guys are athletes, servicemen and women who've had these injuries are high level athletes. And so your comfort and your experience gave Alex something that he wouldn't have had, and not by anyone's fault. It's just not a population that anybody sees.
And it's the same thing, Stephania. You've been to CFI. I mean, these guys that are limb salvage and amputees, we also have full kit. We have dummy weapons. So they're like running on a treadmill with a weapon. I mean, we're like trying to, at least build that confidence back. Like, look, this might be a goal you'll never get to, but at least let's go for the mountaintop. And so our guys that we knew, even in our head, we knew like these guys will never redeploy. He's a bilateral AK. Let's get him into the shooting range tonight. And let's go out there and let him shoot a weapon to motivate him a little bit. And that was the thing with Alex. It's like, we know what his motivators are. Well, and someone said it earlier today to me, was his only motivator to get back to playing being a professional quarterback. And I, from everything I learned from being in Alex's home and meeting him and knowing him, his number one motivation was to be able to be a good dad and be able to do what he wanted to do with his kids. So it's like, that was his number one. Like, how can I be as functional as possible, be a great dad? And then if it turns into being a quarterback, I'll do that. And I think that's exactly what every service member that I dealt with was. How can I be the best, kind of person, dad, husband? And if I can redeploy, that's like toast.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think that what's so fun to see about the people that get treated at CFI is the relationships y'all get to develop with them, and how much you get to know those things that motivate them. Because too often, like clinic where I worked for so long, it was awesome, had a blast, love the people I work with. I think we did great work, but I get 30 minutes, I get an hour 2 times a week. And so cramming all of those things in, it's like you're having to hit your high value targets. All right, what can we do? What can you work on at home? And, you get to know your people, you get to know them better than they get to know you, but doing things like that, it's kind of hard to get there. I know, like when a friend of mine saw that clip, Johnny, of Alex putting weight through the frame, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, you have no idea. Like you should see these people when they're jumping on boxes and going through ladder drills and things like that. So I thought that was really fun to see, and it will be really fun to see for a lot of our listeners. One thing we wanted to, Stephania, to kind of cover while we got you is how did this thing all come to be? I mean, like what happened? And we know Alex was injured, but how did you get involved? How did Johnny get involved? How did that transpire?
Well, it's interesting because Johnny's joking about how he hadn't seen the piece, but he actually knew about Alex's injury and the extent of it before I did. I will take credit for the introduction, but from Johnny to Dr. Robin West, who's the head team physician. But because of that relationship that Johnny had with her, he was the first person that she thought of when she was, considering what to do with the extent of Alex's injury. And so, Johnny was consulted at least by phone before I knew the details of Alex's injury. And obviously, professional relationship that I had with Dr. West, but given HIPAA and given, basically given that, like there was no way, I only knew what the public knew, is what I'm trying to say, up until the point where Alex decided he wanted to document this. And I think part of his rationale for wanting to document it was just because there was nobody else who had a similar injury. So in the course of his conversation with Dr. West, she said, well, I think I've got perfect person to match you up with to document this. And I think, obviously I have a personal relationship with her, but she knows my work and she also knows that I understand medicalese. So in terms of being able to navigate all the medical aspects of this, I think she thought we'd be a good fit. And at that time, she told me that she had talked to Johnny and was looking at a consultation with folks in San Antonio. So literally after we kind of got the piece going through ESPN, I took the pitch back and I went to E60 because it just felt like this was an E60 piece. I felt like this was going to be bigger than a 5-minute feature. There was it just felt like this was going to be longer and more drawn out, and you really needed to tell the bigger story. E60, thankfully, was excited about it, was all in right from the beginning. And so the Andy Tennant, who's the head of E60, came down to Virginia, and we met at Alex's home so that we could, meet face to face and just basically give them our commitment about how we plan to follow this story. Dr. West was there. Alex's entire medical team actually was there, and Johnny was there. So we were all there together at that initial meeting, and I think that really set the tone for everything. Don't you, Johnny?
I agree 100%. And so I can remember distinctly Robin calling me when it first happened, because I was at a conference in Las Vegas. I don't remember which conference it was, but I had finished my talk. And Stephania, when you get done with these talks, you're like, I'm ready to go to the bar. And so I went to the bar with a couple buddies.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you and I have been there. And so I'd already it's all about, you're doing your business and meeting and discussing. I had a couple drinks and I went and my wife, we have this one restaurant in Vegas we love. And so she was there.
Oh, I know it.
Milos.
That's Milos.
Yeah.
So good.
Milos. And so she's like, meet me at Milos. I'm like, cool, leaving the bar. I'll be right there. She's sitting in the bar, she's got a drink for me. So I have a drink and they call us our table and I literally remember we're walking our table and my phone rings. It's Robin, Dr. West. And I'm like, that's weird. Maybe she's got something with one of the players or the Redskins or Nationals. And, and again, Stephania linked me up with Dr. West originally. I think Stephania and I both agree. Dr. West is one of our favorite people in the world, probably one of the best orthopedic surgeons. And she's amazing. And so I was like, I don't know if I should take this right now. I've had a few too many drinks, but I'm like, I'm gonna answer it. I'm like, hold on, babe. I'm gonna go talk to Dr. West. And so she explained, that Alex was in this decision-making process right now of, should he go limb salvage or potentially amputate? And she's like, you're one of the first people I want to call and ask this question. And so
you're like, wow, I'm a couple drinks in and you're asking me this.
All of a sudden I sobered up real quick. And, that just took me back to where we were with the war. I had that conversation daily. We would have these guys and girls come in and we'd go meet them in the hospital after they got back from downrange. And the discussion was, do you want to amputate or keep your leg? And so, I gave her my thoughts. I think Robin was actually kind of leaning the other direction. And so after that, she's like, would you mind if I let his wife, Elizabeth, call you? And so she called me. I was like, yeah, once I get home, that'd probably be better. And she called me when I got home. And then I just really started going through the process of what I think is going to happen from a limb salvage standpoint, even to the point of like you as the spouse needs support because there's going to be a lot of downs just as much as there are ups. And then, we kept communicating. Stephania started communicating with us. And then that meeting at Alex's house in DC, I was in DC for a couple of conferences, so I was going to be there for like 8 days. I think was really pivotal with his whole medical team, which was great, to decide like, okay, let's do this. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I'm just going to say one of the things I always say, when I'm speaking to PT students or, an audience who's asking about sort of how do you get these things to happen, or how does it always comes back to these professional relationships. I mean, Look at how Johnny and I met through Sports Center going down and scouting a location in San Antonio, and they saw he was doing this crazy stuff with a tourniquet and wanted me to find out more about it. And that ultimately led to so many things, including all this usage of blood flow restriction training in the NFL, which is how you got to all these team doctors. And it was the relationship and the trust that actually set all this up to happen. And it's pretty cool.
It's so weird along the way, the things that have happened, so I was back because I went up there several times, and I was working actually at Inova doing a course at Dr. West's facility where she's the head of orthopedics there. And I told Alex, okay, I'm here, we're going to go meet over at Inova and we're going to do some work together. And we're there, and I hear someone call my name out at the Inova, their sports medicine facility, which is amazing. And I'm like, who the hell knows me here? And I turn around, and it's one of our Delta Force guys who was one of the original like limb salvage people that we had, like highly decorated, just badass dude, comes over and, we start talking and he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, hey, here's my friend, Alex Smith. He's like, oh yeah, I think I know who that is. And, but then, this guy who's, I think he's like 9 years into this process is like, hey, and he and Alex just sit and go through everything for a while. And it's like, I'm like, freaking what crazy God thing just happened right now where they just dropped this Delta in the middle of my time that I happened to be here to go like kind of like give Alex a pep talk. Like, yeah, man, I redeployed as a tier 1 operator. So stuff like that, it just seemed to happen along the way with this whole project.
That's pretty cool, Johnny. And you were telling us a story kind of off air about really kind of a similar thing happened at CFI when Alex showed up there, and people started seeing him and they're like, well, I know who that guy is, and he looks like me. And so those moments are cool.
Stephania was there, with us at the CFI, and that he walked in, and one of our first guys, who was an amputee, came walking over, and he was a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and he just walked up and said, "Holy shit, are you Alex Smith?" But
so great.
I gotta put the explicit record on here now.
Yeah, sorry, but
whatever.
That's what he said. It wasn't out of my mouth; it was out of his. Yeah. But at the CFI, we have every kind of VIP come through, from, like I said, presidents to rock stars to musicians to whatever. But none of them have ever come in and looked like one of these service members, and that's the first time. And I talked about this to someone several months back. That's the first time really that someone came to see this place and say, like, hey, I just want to come and give my props. And by the way, I'm going through what you're going through. And I think that's kind of the heart of this piece, which is going to be really cool is, man, it's a struggle, but it's not just isolated to certain individuals.
I think that's why it's getting so much advanced press. Number one, Alex and his wife are very private, so they haven't done much media. So Alex has been out of public view. Once he rejoined the team for some activities, people saw him, but he wasn't doing interviews. He wasn't doing press. And so a lot of the details around his injury were kept away, and people knew he had a bad injury and infection, but they didn't really understand what that meant. And I think for him, the decision to do this meant he could sort of bring this story forward in its entirety. And I think that's going to be really nice for him to be able to share it in that way. And the impact that people had all along the way, and we saw it in bits and pieces, but I certainly think that is a theme through the overall piece. And it's been a secret from the public for so long, and the public does not often see these type of injuries. Most people have never seen anything like this. So I think that's why the reaction, obviously at the CFI, it was a very different group. It was people who really understood and could relate to him.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is, my wife, I showed her a clip the other night, and she's like, oh, she saw his leg healed, but with his muscle flaps and everything. And she's like, this looks like one of your gross presentations you always do. But it's like, geez, if you saw some of these intraoperative pictures that we saw and how bad it really was, it's amazing the recovery that he has made. It was a devastating injury.
Yep, and nothing short of remarkable. So on that note, I think everyone should tune in and watch it so they can see.
I think so. I mean, Michael Jordan is opening up for Alex Smith on Sunday night, which is really great.
Yeah, we get a rear on Sunday night. But if you want to catch the first viewing, because you don't want to miss what people are talking about, you should watch it Friday night, 7:30 Eastern.
That was great, guys. Thanks, Stephania, for coming on the Owens Recovery Science podcast with Kyle Kimbrell and Johnny Owens. And thanks everybody for listening to us. Watch this piece. It's gonna be great.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for all your help with the subject of my piece, Johnny.
Sure. Thanks, Stephania. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for listening to the Owens Recovery Science Podcast. Owens Recovery Science is a single source for PTs, OTs, ATCs, DCs, MDs, and other medical professionals seeking certification in personalized blood flow restriction rehabilitation training. Find them online at owensrecoveryscience.com.